Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I am Jason, your host. Let's talk about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD. In a way, I hate that it's encapsulated in those four little letters because it can be a life-ruining event. My first experience of it was to do with my wife dying. I was in the room when they were trying to save her. I made the choice to actually stand in the room while they tried to restart Paola's heart. I watched the event. I heard the sounds. I saw the injections being given. The nurses and the doctors trying their best in the coronary ward to try to bring her back. I watched Paola go from a living human being to a dead husk. And then 4 weeks later, 4 or 5 weeks later, I was in hospital, the same hospital, just downstairs and to the side, having surgery for bowel cancer. PTSD is almost impossible to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it. I will never be able to fully grieve Paola. I will never be able to go through the normal 5 steps of grief, the denial and everything, because, and this is what I was told by a special grief mental health professional that was seeing me after, because of my PTSD and the way it encapsulated that entire event. Think of it like a YouTube clip. A really, really horrible YouTube clip that includes all emotions, all feelings, every single moment of time of the event, and can replay it as if it's real for you at any point in your life if something triggers it. And you are back there. You are back there. You go through a PTSD event. You are, whatever happened to you, whether it was war, whether it was rape, whether it was something that happened, the death of a family or something, a traumatic event, you will experience it. The memories will overlay today's memory. You will get confusion. It isn't just an event that happens and then, oh, you're back to normal. No. For me, every time I experience the main PTSD event, at the start of the event, Paola was alive. At the end of the event, Paola was dead. I mean, every single time it was like, almost exactly like, because it was, as far as my brain concerned, it was this, I was experiencing that event. It wasn't just a memory, it was going through that event as well. This is why PTSD can totally cripple you. And those memories try to mesh into what's happening now. The problem with one of the problems with PTSD is once you've had a single PTSD event, you are then very, very prone to other events. You are vulnerable to picking up new events that will latch on, that will cause issues. Like, for example, when I was being harassed, when people were laying siege to this house, when the drug dealers from next door kept coming to my front door and pressing my fucking Nest doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Sometimes 3 hours at a time and trying to break into my house. Oh, that created. I had to get rid of that video doorbell. I had to get rid of it because for Mike, even fucking now, even though I haven't had that doorbell in the house for over a year at least, I still hear it sometimes. I still hear it. I still hear the doorbell going. That may never go away. It affects your reality. It's why these kind of traumas are sometimes worse than the fucking event that created them, because it doesn't go away. You have to watch for triggers. You have to try to deal with things. And depending how bad it is, it can cripple you. It's one of the only good things about having to move from next door to here, because a lot of the triggers for Paola were in the other house. And talking to everyone about it actually helps, because you start to it's hard to start with, but to start the event, if you can talk about it, then you desensitize the trigger slowly over time. So it still happens. I don't talk about it when it happens, unfortunately, because it's such a wrecking event. Remember, in early 2019, when all this stuff happened, that event, I was isolated. I was planning an end-of-life event. Everything was over as far as I was concerned. I had done my job. I had looked after Paola for 20 years. I had fought the good fight. And now I had cancer myself. And I didn't want to fucking go through that. I was at an end-of-life event idea. But I have methods and ways of dealing with it now. Ways of dealing with it. I would say it happens probably once a month now. Something will just trigger it. Once a month. It's horrible still, but it's far better than 6 times a day. Anybody who says to you that, oh, giving up on life is not the thing to do, you've always blah, 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 blah. Well, try 5 or 6 times a day seeing your wife die. And I mean actually seeing her die. Try that 5-6 times a day and see how many days you can handle that before you can't fight anymore. So yeah, I still get hit with it. It never goes away completely. But it's very rare that it gets triggered now. Sometimes I'll see a picture of Paola on my computer, or I'll look at an old computer, or our old gaming stations where we used to sit next to each other, and I'll be gone. It'll have triggered. What can you do? What can you do about it? First of all, one of the important things is if you have a PTSD event, or you know someone who has a PTSD event, be fucking well understanding. They'll feel stupid, they'll feel self-conscious, they'll feel like, fuck, why is this happening again? Rationale, they'll know that they are not back in the time when it happens, but that doesn't stop everything that's been brought forward again to the front. It will interfere with their memories. It will try to overlay, because as far as your brain's concerned, this is reality, this is what it's just brought forward, and it isn't. It doesn't see it as a recording, it sees it as a real thing that it'll take you back there. It's why war veterans who dealt with a lot of PTSD, unfortunately, never get back fully to reality and never stop fighting the war, because I know what it's like to deal with a few events, a few of these crazy things. What they deal with is would have been constant for a while. They were in battle and that. So yeah, they never leave the war behind. So what can you do? Ground yourself. When the PTSD event comes to an end, do something that's interesting to you. Something that makes you smile. Something that is your favourite thing. Whether it's a TV programme, eat something. Don't eat too much, just eat something. Ground your body in some food that you like. Chocolate, ice cream, doesn't matter. Pizza, anything, kebab. Just make it something that is a grounded physical event. And don't drink. Don't drink alcohol to try and forget. That will make it worse, because it will confuse your mind with what was real and what wasn't. So don't go down the path of drink. Same with drugs. If you have a PTSD event, do not do drugs at that point in time, because it can blur the lines and make it even harder for your brain to reset into reality. And it needs to it needs to figure, oh yes, this is reality, that wasn't. So get yourself, do a normal routine, do a few things before bed, make sure, just physically connect yourself with the fucking world. Masturbate. Sorry, I'm going to put that out there. Masturbating is a very physical, emotional thing, and a very mental, and will draw you back into the. You may not feel like it, but yeah, these kind of things can help when it happens to draw you back into the physical reality and help thingy. But don't expect. PTSD isn't a compartment that happens and then you just go back and no. It can hit you for 2-3 days or even longer afterwards. Just it'll confuse your view of reality. It can confuse your view of life, of what's happening, and that you can still have little minor type things and overrides of your old memories and your new memories and things like that. So you need to focus yourself on the here and now. And yes, when an event like this has happened, focus on the here and now. Do things that make you happy. Do things that will help you to get through it in some way, shape or form. Like for me, that arcade in the back machine gets turned fucking on, and I will play Space Invaders, and I can do things like that. And because the wonderful thing about that arcade machine is the tactile feel of the controls and the sticks and the buttons, and it's like click, 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 and all that is grounding me in the reality of right fucking now, instead of what I dealt with. That arcade machine is worth its weight in gold. It is fucking, in fact, it's completely priceless for my therapy, just for that specific thing that it helps with in some way. So yeah. For me, it's computers, games. If it's a really bad one, I'll order a pizza or a kebab or something that's bad for me. Something just because my brain will thingy. Once it's over, if you've got a friend you can talk about it to, talk about it. You want to help understand what triggered it, and so you can try and be aware and desensitize it in some way. It won't be easy. I mean, let's face it, it's now almost 7 years since Paola's death. And I can still be hit with it. So it's not something I feel sorry for anybody who's dealing with it. I don't. It's. No one should face it alone. Nobody should deal with something like this alone. You are not weak. You are not making a fool of yourself. Thankfully, most of your friends will never have to deal with this. And that's a good thing. Because every PTSD event is something personal. It will be a traumatic event. For whoever's dealing with it, it is an event that will hurt and confuse and scare. And because it's not like a memory, it's not even like a phobia. Your brain is actually, time dilation has gone back to that point and is reliving every emotion that you went through, every feeling, as if you were there again. You are reliving that actual event. And that is, in fact, it's almost worse than the actual event, because the constructive things and that you did to survive it, you're not doing right now. You're just seeing the event. You're not in control like you were back then. You are completely on. You have a complete lack of control because the event plays out. It's one of the reasons why. It's one of the things, apart from me being non-functioning outside because of my autism, even if it wasn't for my autism, because I spent 99% of my time pushing Paola's wheelchair outside the house for almost 18 years, that trigger event of me with my hands on a wheelchair in front of me, it's one of the hardest things to get past. Of course I have. I've got the Quingo. I can leave the house now. I am slowly working on being able to leave the household with someone else so I can hold their hand and go places and that where the Quingo can't. But grind those balls. Yeah. Take care of yourself. I hope you're having a good day.